Hey everyone, my name is Rahat. I hope you all are doing well. I am the host of the video series Mainframe Voices. As the name suggests, we are creating a video series where we gather different perspectives of experts on mainframe technology and mainframe modernization. Our goal is to highlight the importance and future of mainframe in today's technology landscape. In this episode of Mainframe Voices, we turn our attention to hybrid cloud and hybrid cloud strategies as businesses navigate the complexity of modern IT infrastructure. Hybrid cloud solutions have emerged as a powerful approach to combining the strength of on premises mainframes with the flexibility and scalability of cloud environments. Our experts will discuss how hybrid cloud strategies are enabling organizations to optimize performance, manage costs, and maintain control over critical data while embracing the advantages of cloud computing. Join us as we explore the transformative impact of hybrid cloud on the future of mainframe technology.
A few things that they can look into. There's what I'd say is I'd first take a step back and look at the organizations who are involved in the mainframe space. So it's not just IBM. There's a lot of vendors in the space that can help, and it's going to be very different based on what kind of organization you're part of. So hearing the pitches and going to some of these industry events. IBM's hosting Tech Exchange in a couple of months in October. But whatever industry event that you can get to around mainframe, share is a good one. That's actually, I think, next week. When we publish this won't be next week. But there's industry conferences that I think folks can go to and get a really good picture of what to expect and for modernization for their specific organization. Speaking as someone from IBM, I think things that are going to be important here and have shown success in other organizations are technologies like OpenShift. So that's the Kubernetes-based containerization environment. And that one is really important because it runs on cloud, it runs on x86, but it also runs on mainframe. You can deploy mainframe workloads from x86, you can deploy x86 workloads from the mainframe. And so the work put into making sure that there is that overlap of technologies has been really important to organizations. I'd also say things like Ansible, again, like that's been really important to making sure that the developers have the same tools.
You've got different prices for different things. Yeah, I would say that easily. If businesses are doing it for quite some time, and there are some that are doing it for 10 years, then it makes sense to them money-wise. And so it saves some money to them. Large European bank, large American bank, both of them were able to integrate fully their mainframe environments into their CI/CD pipelines in the same way that they are doing for the rest of their enterprise. And effectively, they treat mainframe as the optimal environment for a system of records types of workloads. And when you are building something, either new or updating existing, then you're selecting where you deploy it. It's integrated in the same environment and pipelines that they are working with for everything else. And then you are just selecting, is this the type of workload that's great for statement of record? Then system of record, then it probably should go in the mainframe. And it doesn't matter for you because it doesn't change anything for you too much. On the other hand, if it's something that is going through large spikes where you don't even know whether the customers will use it, then probably cloud is the better choice to start with. It's cheaper to start with mainframe. It's cheaper to start with cloud. It may very well be more expensive to stay there.
A user come to me a couple of weeks ago, and they were a tester that didn't work. They worked in normal testing for, I think they were a QA tester, and they worked exclusively in cloud environments. They didn't know anything about the mainframe, and they were asked to come into the debit card team and test how the debit card system worked for the mainframe team at the back end. They didn't know what a mainframe was. They didn't know what Kix was. I asked them how they were testing some of the mainframe stuff, and they said, oh, well, the team are kind of doing that and giving me some information. And I thought, okay. And he was the perfect use case of how we would describe a Galassa test. I talk all the time about Galassa being able to test mobile or web interfaces all the way through to the system of record through MQ or Kix or DB2 or whatever database you might be using. And this tester had come in and done exactly that. He was looking at testing the whole end-to-end platform And I think that is the example of where hybrid cloud can work really. When it works well, you get people that can do the mainframe part and that understand that and can test that bit, but they don't know how to come out of that. And so bringing in someone that didn't know how the mainframe worked, I think was really key, because they were able to come in and do that end-to-end testing without having much knowledge. And for me, he was the perfect example of why Galata exists, why hybrid cloud can be a really important way forward.
As I mentioned, there's the backup in cloud. So you have your live DB2 data running on your mainframe in your local data center. You have an immediate backup on disk, on-prem, on that mainframe. You might have a secondary backup at a different data center on a different site. Then you might have a third backup for critical data up in the cloud. You could move certain application data up into the cloud where sub-second or sub-millisecond response isn't that critical, but what with network infrastructure nowadays, that is becoming less of an issue. But certainly certain types of applications, business applications, would be useful to place in the cloud, because you can spin up machines. Certainly development, software development, application development could be done in the cloud, because you could spin up a virtual mainframe in seconds. You can spin up an x86 Windows or Linux image in seconds using AWS or Microsoft Azure or GCP. You could build testing environments in cloud, spin one up, thrash your testing suite onto your application, watch it perform or watch it break, and then fix it. And then when you're happy, you can just spin it back down. That's it. You just pay for that, and you don't have to pay for all of the expense of an on-prem development and test center. And just keep your production mainframe for running production. So yeah, just a couple of things that spring to mind.
The first thing, especially when it comes to data, is how are you securing the data? How are you truly securing the data? And one of the things Z did a while ago was pervasive encryption and then quantum safe encryption. And so by keeping the data that needs to be the most secure on the platform in a secure way, Z is the most securable platform. I mean, you can open up your Z wrong too, bad opening up ports, you can do that on any platform. The most securable platform. But if you've got your data encrypted, if you manage with quantum safe encryption methods, and if you manage safeguarded copy to ensure that you have a copy just in case you get some kind of ransomware attack, whatever. So you have a copy, you have your data, it is secure. Thinking about it from that standpoint, so you're not making copies of your data lots of places, you're not sharing your data places that maybe it's not so secure. There have been attacks where a cloud provider's employee that was not following cloud policy, so they were breaking, an insider attack, but it's not an insider in your own company, it's a cloud insider that's stealing data from your company. So you really have to carefully think about where you really want your data to be, and locked and secured in a way so that it's fully accessible. I can, connect to it via APIs. I can access it. I can do what I need to do, but I can keep it secure and safe. And then only data that is transient, temporary, or doesn't have the same security requirements, I can have in other locations. Other people have other choices. They need data locally at stores, and then historical data stays in the Z in the background. But figuring out the right place for your data, because the other thing that's critical in these days of cloud and hybrid cloud, the transport of the data, the network bandwidth, you don't want to be sending copies all around everywhere and using up network that you're paying for. So making sure you're keeping the data, not making lots of copies, but accessing it in the right way. And so I really do expect this consolidation of structured data. And then there's lots of unstructured data that's probably going to be lots of different places, some of which will be on Z, but some of which will be lots of other places as well. So consolidating them through data lakes, having federated data so that you can get to it where it is without moving it, but being able to access it and deal with it in common ways.
You have to think about the costs of developers. You have to think about the costs of the cloud versus mainframe, and bringing it together. I spoke also about these topics with project leads in our customer projects, and really often there's the statement, nobody is interested for mainframes. And when I am there from the consultant company and I am saying, I'm also a young talent and I'm interested for that. If you're speaking bad about technologies, then you don't receive new talents in this area. That's really often the case there, because they are speaking bad about mainframes. But anyways, young talents don't cost so much as experienced talents who want to retire in the next years. So you can also save costs. And if you are keeping the mainframe and put only stuff into the cloud, you can reduce also the costs. But anyway, if all transactions to the cloud that's so cost intensive, the companies any benefit afterwards.
Hybrid cloud strategy. First and foremost, what they should look at is the report, right? If a company is focused on advanced analytics and they have the tools that cloud provide, then they should keep their core transaction system within mainframe and then get the analytics done in the cloud platform where it is really advancing and it's getting easier and easier to run, right? And I personally believe that mainframe is behind in that game. Also, it'll give organizations to the capability to integrate the mainframe data and any other on-prem data or open source system data together and do their analytics. It's always the right platform for the right workload, and it depends on the company's need. They need to figure out where to keep these components, work on it. Where to keep these components, work on it.